Entelligence, and we have a partnership with New Horizons that we're very excited about. And I'm going to just start right off with a little story. About 15 years ago, I was having lunch with a customer out at Dell, and we had just won or getting ready to win a large outsourcing contract with them. And our job was basically to architect, install, configure, and manage their storage hardware and software systems when they sold them to their customers. So essentially they were outsourcing their professional services work for us. So it all sounded pretty straightforward, but it turns out that the customer at the sandwich shop tells me, you know, his number one problem is what he called a be-back problem, as in, I need you to send the guy back out here tomorrow because something didn't work. There was a project failure, an escalation, the wrong parts were sent, the wrong person was sent to the wrong place, all kinds of things were happening. And that was his problem. So when we won the contract, we asked them for, great, I think this is a problem that we can solve. Why don't you show us how you do it today? Give us your methodology and your customer engagement steps, and we'll work on it. They just laughed at us, and they said, hey, we don't have any of that stuff. That's why we hired you. That's your problem now. Well, that problem turned out to be an opportunity, and it started us on a journey for the last 15 years and launched what is now what we call the Entelligence Certified IT Professional training. And this is the training that we train up all of our folks that are working on our teams on behalf of our customers. And so for the better part of 15 years, we've not only been training our consultants, but also not just on the technical skills to master their roles, but we've been training them on the IT professional skills, the communication skills, the customer service skills that people need to stand out in their careers, how to move up, how to get promotions, and really how to become an extraordinary IT professional that's not only technically sound, but also has the type of professional skills that managers are really looking for today. So now through this partnership that we have with New Horizons, we have the Entelligence Certified IT Professional training available. It's a simple 90-minute professional skills certification either for you or for your team. And I'm excited about it. What we're going to do today is really talk about just some of the snippets of this particular program, and I want to start with one of the modules that we get a lot of feedback from our clients, and it's how to handle escalations. So we're just going to give you a small taste of what we have here today in Module 7, and then we have some other material we're going to cover, and then I think we'll finish with Q&A. So a lot of what we cover in the certification program is how to communicate when things are going well. But as we all know, things don't always go our way, things don't always go well, problems happen, technology doesn't work, things break down, and because in the world of enterprise IT or cloud computing, there's just so many things out of our control. Project failures, project escalations, they do happen. So today, what we're going to learn first is really a couple of steps on how we handle these failures and escalations and how we can do it as a pro, so no matter what's happening, you or your team can handle them with confidence, and we can find solutions to real problems. And I want to remind you of something you've probably seen before. McKinsey & Company reports that on average large IT projects run about 45% over budget, 7% over time, and deliver about 56% less value than predicted. So chances are they're probably pretty high that at some point in your career you or your people are going to run into some type of IT project that's running behind, that's over budget, or worse, it results in some type of upset customer or some type of project failure. So nobody that I know, or no IT professionals that we hire, want to find themselves in an escalation, but the good news is that with some very simple tools and skills, anyone can navigate really any circumstance, and anyone can learn to deal with problems, deal with upset people, especially when the stakes are high, and especially when emotions get charged. So we all know that technology can be frustrating, but it's especially frustrating when it's not working as planned and the customer gets upset. You think about your own experiences when in your technical world something fails, you get frustrated, you get upset, you get angry. If you're like most people, of course you do. But what's more difficult is, as an IT professional, we're not only supposed to handle the technical problems that come up, but we also have to know how to navigate upset coworkers, upset customers, and upset stakeholders who often take their frustration out on us. So, fear not. Here's what we're going to talk about. 5 ways, 5 steps that you can handle these types of critical situations and deal with upset people. The next time you find yourself confronted with an escalation or project failure, just remember these 5 steps. Number 1 is don't bite the hook. Now, in the best-selling book, Crucial Conversations, the authors teach us that many times we often step into emotionally charged situations full of positive intent, but unfortunately, many times the other people involved in the same situation aren't as feeling as positive, and they take their anger and their frustration on us. And so when emotions start flying, it's easy to get hooked. It's easy to fire back, but don't do it. Remember, a simple tip is really just focus on the goal. Focus on what you want to have happen. To solve a problem, get the customer or get your project back on track, and keep reminding your constituents that you're there to help resolve the issue at hand. Remind them that you're all in the same boat. We're all staying focused on the outcome that'll lead to the fastest situation. So that's step 1. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Step 2 is just acknowledge and empathize. Now, most people in an emotionally charged situation, all they really want to do is to be heard and understood. And it's not just about the problem at hand, but they also want to tell you about how they feel about it. And in these situations, there's 2 things that you can do to really help those that are affected feel heard and understood, so you can diffuse the problem. Number 1 is just acknowledge using mirroring. Now, in the program, we cover communication mirroring in one of the early modules in the certification, but for now, just remember that mirroring is a simple technique where you just repeat back what you heard and what you think that you said. For example, if a customer says, hey, I'm frustrated that the project is behind, you can simply say, well, I hear that you're frustrated, and you're right, the project is behind, but tell me more. What's your idea about that? So that's just a simple way of doing it. That was a really simple example, but something like that immediately starts to diffuse an upset customer. The second thing is that a very simple technique that you can use is just remember to empathize how they feel. It's just putting yourselves in another person's shoes. It's about empathy. It's about understanding their feelings, not just about what happened, but to tag on as simple as saying, hey, I'm really sorry for your frustration, or something like, I get how frustrated and angry you must feel. I can see it. So oftentimes when we put ourselves in the emotional shoes of another person and they feel heard and understood, that's when the tension really starts to subside. So let's go on to step 3. Step 3 is really, once we've diffused the tension, is to clarify the problem. Once everyone is involved, or everyone that's involved is in a calmer place, we want to make sure that we clarify exactly what the problem is so that we can put it into context. And that's where it's important to really just focus on the facts and not on the emotions. This is where it's important to restate what you've heard the problem to be. Like a simple phrase could be, well, what I heard you say was, and restate the problem, and then check in to see if you heard it correctly. Is that correct? Did I get that right? Or you could ask a forward-thinking or brainstorming type of question that often leads them to come up with their own solution. Or you might say something like, hey, well, what do you think a good solution would be for this situation? Or can we sit down and collaborate together or work together so that we can both come up with a fast and more effective way to get this thing done? So step 4 is, once we've done that, is let's either propose a solution. So if you know how to solve a customer's problem, just do it, state it. Many times those that are involved in an escalation or some type of problem, they're looking for you to provide a solution. And so if you can clearly see the path and outline the problem, do it. But if you don't see a clear solution, that's okay too. simply saying that, hey, let's work together, let's strategize on the process forward. What would you like to have happen here, or what do you see as the best path forward? Those are ways that you can simply get the customer or your stakeholder involved to help diffuse the situation. And then finally, once you have that, let's just get agreement. If you have a solution, you got to get agreement on the path forward, and you simply confirm the deadline or the path forward or whatever the vision is. Here's 3 simple steps to get there. Number 1, repeat back the problem. Number 2, restate the solution and set up a timeline. And 3, just get a verbal agreement. So here's what that could look like if I were rehearsing this out loud. Hey, I want to repeat back what I heard you say, and I want to make sure we're in agreement on the problem, the solution, and the timeline. I understand that you're frustrated because the project is 2 days behind schedule. So yeah, we're going to work faster, but I think that we can get the project back on schedule, and I think we can be back on schedule by next Friday. Is that acceptable for you? That's a simple way to do that, but I think you get the picture. And then the example that we use here is really simple, but the one thing that's really important to remember is that when you run into a problem and when you run into some sort of escalation or an upset customer, people won't remember necessarily the way you came up with the solution, or they won't remember the things that maybe get said, but they will remember how you handle yourself and how you made them feel, and how you handle yourself and how you handle your emotions, projecting confidence and being truthful and transparent and authentic. That's what makes or breaks the situation, and that's what we've learned in our experience. Because when we do these 5 steps, we come across as cool, calm, collected, confident, no matter what's really happening or how other people are reacting. That's really the mark of a trusted and true IT professional, and that's where our jobs get a lot easier and we get a lot more enjoyment. So that's just one snippet from a module on handling escalations. And I want to talk about another thing that's really near and dear to the work that I've done and the work we do in our company. Is I want to talk about one of the most impactful ways that you can set yourself up or your team set up for success. It doesn't really matter where you come from in the world, whether you work for a product company, a hardware software company like many of our clients, or a system integrator like many of our partners, or many of our direct customers in a large enterprise IT organization. Mastering the customer experience, whether people are buying your products or service, or you serve this group of internal stakeholders in your organization, this is probably the most important thing that you could ever do for your career. So again, this is a small snippet of material that's straight out of the certification that you can access here at New Horizons. But what I want to do is just give you a couple of simple things that you can kind of start to set your mindset about what it means to be outstanding, or what we think about when we deliver outstanding customer service. And I want to be clear about one thing. When I say great customer service, I'm not talking about satisfied customers. I'm talking about like rock star level customer service. I'm talking about that go the extra mile, that bend over backwards, that pretty near darn perfect customer service. Because the reason why that's important is delivering what we call an extraordinary customer service, a 10 out of 10, a 5 out of 5, is really the only way that you can make your mark in the minds, in the hearts of your customers and your constituents. So I want you to think about it this way. This is really the way that you want to build your personal brand or a loyal following. This is the way that people move their career forwards, is you have to make a difference in the hearts and minds of your customers and your stakeholders. So let me explain that for a second, because it's really important. We all know that customer satisfaction, or the customer experience, or whatever you want to call it, is really important to the success of all business. It doesn't really matter what business that you or your company is in. Because if you look at the statistics, 80% of all businesses fail in the first year. A lot of us know that. Or only 4% make it over a 10-year period. But one of the common denominators is that any company with poor customer satisfaction, no matter how big they are or how long they've been in business, is almost guaranteed of one thing: they're going to go out of business. So here's the deal. It's not that we just want to create creating satisfied customers. The differences between how customers perceive you or how they buy, the difference between very satisfied and merely satisfied is a very binary decision. It's like a light switch. It's either off or on. And it's how they make decisions in creating this level of customer service. Companies or people that deliver this highest level, this 5 out of 5 level of service or attitude or experience, those are the people, those are the companies that produce the highest level of satisfaction with their customers or stakeholders, but they outperform their peers in job satisfaction, and they outperform their company peers in profitability and market value, because quite simply, the best customer service is the only guarantee of loyal, repeat customers or buyers, and people want to buy from companies that they know and trust over and over again. So think about it another way. There's a study by a company called Rain Today that it turns out that the buyers who rated a service provider or their IT provider a 5 out of 5 were the only loyal customers. These are the ones that said that they were very satisfied. The ones that it turns out that were merely satisfied, a 4 out of 5 or an 8 out of 10, those were the customers that were most likely either to switch providers to another company, and they were the ones who were satisfied, quote unquote satisfied, with the service that they received. But they're going to defect over the next 2 years, most likely. So we live in this time where merely satisfied customers just aren't good enough to sustain a business, and they're really not sustainable to someone who wants to move up and get ahead in their career. We have to create what Ken Blanchard says are raving fans, because it's only these raving fans that make businesses more profitable and healthier and sustainable, and it's the ones who create the most loyal and productive clients out there as well. So it's the positive value all up and down the chain that we're looking for. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's all well and good if we're talking about a company and we're talking about customer satisfaction, but what does it have to do with me or my project or my job or my career? Well, the truth is everything. Because in today's world of IT and enterprise IT and cloud computing and cybersecurity, your personal brand is the brand. People want to do business and want to hire people, not companies. And they tend to hire people and do business with folks that they trust, not organizations. And that's why it's kind of important to think about it like this. Your personal brand as an IT professional is the most powerful thing that you have that allows you to take charge of your own career. You see, we believe that people who deliver the best customer service, they get promoted faster, they get bigger and better opportunities. They're usually the first choice when working on new cutting-edge technology, and in most cases, the people who deliver the best customer service simply just make more money. So your personal brand is really everything. Whether you realize it or not, it's already out there. Your Facebook, your Twitter, your LinkedIn accounts, your resume, the way you show up and interact with every person in every meeting, that's where your personal brand is showing up. It tells the story of your career. So again, we said people want to do business with people, not companies, so it's important to master customer experience, because all the impressions that you make, whether they're with your leaders, your customers, your stakeholders, your coworkers, all of that is what makes up your personal brand, and it is going to determine the level of success that you have. So when we talk about creating customer success, customer experience, we really focus on 3 things. It's what we think, what we say, and what we do. Our vision for what we want to do, how we communicate, and then how we execute. So let's start with vision. So delivering this type of level, this 5 out of 5 customer service, really starts with the clarity of what you have in your mind. It's your intention. It's about how you want to carry yourself and how you want to operate in the world. It's a level of service. It's a level of commitment that you have to the type of service or the type of professional that you want to be. And the sharper your vision, the easier it is to be able to achieve any outcome that you desire. So, for example, you may have noticed from some of these screenshots that I wear glasses. When I take them off, my vision is not very good. I don't see clearly. It's hard to see where I'm going. But when I put them on, my vision is sharp and I can see exactly where I'm headed. Well, that's the same thing when we teach people how to deliver great customer service and take charge of their careers. It's not enough just to say that you want to deliver great customer service. You have to visualize this kind of precise mental or emotional picture of what great service looks like for your customer or for your organization or for your coworkers. It's like what Ken Blanchard and Sheldon Bowles say in the book Raving Fans, that you have to create this vision of perfection centered around the customer. It's almost like you have to orchestrate these memorable events for your customer, because it's that memory itself that becomes your brand. And so your vision or your commitment or your intention to deliver a great customer service really starts between your ears. It starts in your brain, in your ideas and your thoughts. That's what creates that vision.